Welcome to the High Vibes Lifestyle Society podcast, where we explore the principles of post-traumatic growth, mindfulness, trauma-informed self-care, and routine creation strategies that help you achieve the goals you have for your life and for your health. Hello and welcome to episode number 2. Today we're going to be talking about strategic wellness. My personal belief is that trauma-informed care should be a baseline for all practitioners globally, but since that isn't the case, strategic wellness comes into play. You have to become very strategic when you're balancing physical and emotional health to facilitate growth, and that's before you factor in any kind of trauma. Strategic wellness combines awareness, trauma-informed practices, self-love, and post-traumatic growth principles. The path takes you through self-definition, where you're able to find yourself, examine your values, find your authenticity, and discover your own unmet needs. With this information at hand, you're then able to formulate a strategy that supports these needs. Once you find consistency within the strategy, you get to this place where you're able to seek any additional support that you need, and you have the ability to advocate for yourself and your needs in a way that maybe wasn't possible for you previously. When you combine these practices with your goals and values, you're doing many layers of work simultaneously. When I was building my foundations, I can assure you that I was physically and emotionally at rock bottom. Pain cycles, all kinds of emotional things. I'm diagnosed with complex PTSD, so I was dealing with that as well. I literally could not afford to put myself in any more harm because of the process. I had reached my limit of where I could contribute to the creation of my own symptoms. My body had been used as a medical experiment by several underqualified professionals for a couple of decades. I was on hormone-altering medications and new neurological pain drugs. I was adding to the fire I was trying so desperately to put out. To say chronic illness management is traumatizing is an understatement. People often suffer equally or more from the impact of the system than the original ailment itself. I had zero energy, zero resources, and more questions than I had answers for. I had to pull in all of my skills. So as a former executive assistant, I used all of the skills at my disposal to pull me through strategically. I'd been part of many change management projects in the past. So I took everything I knew about project management and I applied it to my health. In the event that a business is facing an issue that leaves them with zero resources and puts them at risk for the loss of more, what they do is they strategize. If they don't have the information, they bring in information or an expert, a doctor, or anything related to the industry. They'll bring in an industry expert to help them solve the problems, to help them answer the questions that they have for themselves and for what the issue is that they're trying to solve. In business, they protect their assets and their growth. So they go through and take measures to make sure that they've protected the growth that they've already earned, profits that they've already earned. And they also take efforts to minimize risk. So they'll do a risk assessment and see where they can reduce risk any way that they can. They document their basic emergency needs. So what are the baseline resources that they're going to need to facilitate operations? What do they need to keep going? They formulate a strategy to execute and delegate all of the needs and all of the findings as needed, right? Strategic wellness operates in the same way. When you're facing any kind of illness, chronic or acute, we find more questions than we have answers for. And then we also have reduced resources as an added circumstance. We are financially, physically, and cognitively vulnerable. So strategy then becomes the most effective way to approach healing, right? Because if you have strategy, you're able then to just follow the strategy. You don't need to rely on circumstances to get you what you need. So when you're faced with any kind of illness, chronic or acute, you have more of these questions. Strategy helps you do the same thing for your health, right? So if you treat your strategy the same way that you're treating that a business does it, you then bring in knowledge around your situation. So you learn about what's going on for you. You have the option to find a podcast, read a book, find a blog, find a practitioner or a coach, a counselor, talk to a therapist, someone who is trauma informed and has the capacity to meet your needs. Don't waste your time, right? A lot of chronic illness, we spend wasting our time with practitioners that actually aren't able to facilitate our needs, or the holding times, the wait times are so long that by the time we actually get to the help that we've been waiting for, our symptoms have exacerbated so far that we actually require more specialized help. So bring in the knowledge, like I said, get yourself information about what your condition is causing for you. Or if you have a condition like anxiety or depression, understand where that stuff is coming from. If you have trauma that you haven't resolved or is just sitting there unresolved or partially resolved, but you're still kind of feeling the residual side effects of that trauma, take some time, bring some knowledge around how to heal that now. I can promise you that trauma healing and trauma awareness, mental health in general, the game has changed in the past 5 years, 3 years. Find someone that makes you feel comfortable with the needs that you have. I assure you that any human problem, there's a book about it. And if you're suffering with something ultra rare, find a group for the ultra rare. There's resources online now where you can go and meet communities of people basically online that have the same kind of conditions that you do. So there are relatable stories out there for you. You just need to do a little bit of bringing in the knowledge for yourself around your situation, and that will really help. The second thing was the businesses do is to protect their assets. So protect your assets and your own growth. Take a minute and take account of the growth that you've already achieved. This is a post-traumatic growth sort of concept where you take account of the resiliency that you've already accomplished for yourself, and really, really take some time to be proud of yourself for what you've already accomplished and celebrate your courage and your strength that it took to grow, and acknowledge any hardships that you may have incurred along the way, and sort of be present and authentic in your life and with your goals. And this will help you protect your assets, because if you're present with your goals, that means that you have some continuity with them. You're consistent with them and present with the desire to achieve them, right? So be present with all of that stuff. Protect your assets and your growth. So really, truly do celebrate your growth and protect that and honor that. And yeah, be authentic with that portion. The third one is minimize risk, right? Take some time to minimize the risk that's associated with healing, with being vulnerable, with all of these things. Remove yourself from habits that aren't serving you anymore. Strategize your way out of that. Do it pacing, one step at a time. Whatever the coping mechanism or the habit is that you're trying to alter, like I said, you go back to number one, bring in the knowledge around that, right? There's knowledge around changing your habits. There's knowledge around setting healthy boundaries with people regardless of the relationship circumstance, right? I'm sure that if you're looking for something dedicated to a specific type of relationship and boundaries, that information is available for you to access. So just bring in the knowledge around your situation, right? Build those healthy boundaries. Set healthy habits for yourself and healthy boundaries with yourself for what you are willing to do for yourself or aren't willing to do, right? Use a trauma-informed strategy that meets your basic needs, that meets the needs that you have that are unmet. Meet them with your strategy. That's what it's for. the strategies to get you meeting as many of your basic needs as you can as an individual. This will significantly impact your healing because you're providing safety for yourself in that. There's safety when you love yourself consistently. Document your basic needs. So what businesses do is they will document the resources they need to survive. Do that for yourself. Do that with your feelings. Feel your feelings to understand your needs so that you can document your basic needs. You can take the time to really, really understand what your feelings are telling you, what your responses are telling you, what your systems are trying to tell you. And then you can have the capacity to move through them because you're acknowledging them, you're aware, and you're meeting your basic needs. So basically, this one is really just take some time to get to know yourself and what your needs truly, truly are. Number 5 was formulate a strategy. So that's the whole part, right? Formulating a strategy for strategic wellness. So take steps 1 to 4 and build your strategy. Break down what you need to break down into smaller steps using your knowledge, protecting and honoring your growth, minimizing the risk, and knowing your needs. This is strategic wellness. These are the basics. This is how you move yourself through. I will not claim that it's easy, because easy is probably the farthest thing that I would use to describe creating strategic wellness for yourself. It's not easy. It's a lot of understanding and a lot of learning and a lot of really being honest and authentic with yourself about what your needs are, where you might not be meeting them for yourself, and then making a dedicated plan for consistency so that you can start to do those things for yourself, so you can become self-sufficient in your wellness. And this happens because you have a strategy. With the strategy, I was able to just fulfill the strategy. Didn't have to worry about the nonsense. I didn't have to worry about the circumstances of any pain cycle or medical situation or anything like that. I had the strategy, and the strategy is what pulled me through even when the days were dark and long and filled with pain. So if I can do it, you can do it. All we need to do is just infuse a little bit more strategic wellness, and you will find wellness with more efficiency. And that's what strategic wellness is all about. So I hope you enjoyed this and have a wonderful rest of the day. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please take a moment to like and comment. It helps more than you think. If you would like to connect online, visit the High Vibes website at high-vibes.ca or on Instagram at high.vibes.society. See you next time.